Hi guys, this is Broken English, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to use the expression supposed to. I hear people using it often. Well, I use it probably 25 times every day, maybe more. It's very, very common. You hear people saying it all the time. But when I'm talking to people who are learning English as a second language, they kind of get it wrong, and they'll say things like I supposed to, or they just don't say it right. And even native speakers will spell it wrong. So let's talk about how to use supposed to. Well, first of all, we use it when we're talking about an expectation, right, that everybody has. So for example, maybe we saw on the weather report that it's supposed to rain. So we will say, hey, it's supposed to rain today. It's not raining now, but maybe in 5 hours it will rain. And we know that it will rain because there was a report on our phone, or we saw something on the news. So we say, hey, bring a jacket because it's supposed to rain. Or maybe there's a custom in your culture or in your house, you know, you're supposed to do something because everybody has done it like that in your culture or your house for a long time, so there's an expectation. So that's when we use supposed to. So for example, maybe in your house you're supposed to shut the door when you go to the bathroom, or you're supposed to take off your shoes when you come in the house, or maybe in your culture when you get married, if there's a woman involved, the woman is supposed to wear a white dress, right? So those are examples of when to use supposed to. So let me show you how to use the grammar of supposed to. Okay, so when we use supposed to, you also need to, well, you don't have to, but you might hear that when you're listening to Americans, they don't usually pronounce the end of the word, of the ed. So instead of saying supposed to, they will say supposed to. And so what they do is they push supposed and then the T of the two together, and it sounds like supposed to. And that also is can go faster when you add whatever the subject is and you add it to the be verb and you make a contraction, right? So like you're supposed to, or she's supposed to. It makes it sound much more authentic and casual. So when you use supposed to, there's certain parts that are involved. You have to have the verb be, you have to have supposed to, and then you have to have another verb in the base form of any verb, okay? So what does that mean, base form of any verb? That means no ing, no ed, no s, nothing like that, right? And then this is the first verb that you use. This can be in the past, so it could be was or were, and it can be in the present, so it could be am, is, or are. So even though we use be supposed to for the past and the present, we don't use it with will, even if we want to use it for the future. So for example, I am supposed to study today. Be supposed to study base form. Okay? That's for the present. That's an expectation. I'm supposed to study. Or she was supposed to I don't know, wash her car. There was an expectation that she was going to wash her car, right? She was supposed to in the past. But be careful, because when you use supposed to, in the past, sorry, not the present, but in the past, like this example, she was supposed to wash her car, that actually means that it didn't happen. There was an expectation, maybe she tried, but she couldn't do it for some reason. She was supposed to wash her car. I am supposed to study today. Maybe I will still be able to study today. So let's see some more examples. Ew, you're supposed to wash your hands.
I mean, I did.
Well, you're supposed to dry them. In this example was I said, did you wash your hands? And he said, no. And I said, well, you are supposed, oh, you said to wash your hands. Actually, he said yes, and I said you're supposed to wash your hands. So this is present tense. Why am I using the present tense? Because it's an expectation that people always have after you use the bathroom. It's not just today, it's not just tomorrow. It's always an expectation. So I said, you are supposed to wash your hands every time. And then he said that he did, actually. And I said, well, did you dry them? You're supposed to dry them. So again, there's an expectation that after you wash your hands, you dry them. And I'm using the present tense because that's the way it always is after anybody uses the bathroom. And here, by the way, you can see I pushed together you and the verb be. And this is probably the most common way when you're speaking to use supposed to, is to push the be with the subject like that.
Got some almond milk.
Yay.
Got some dirty rice. And some vodka.
Nice.
Sauce.
Vodka sauce. Okay. Where's the regular milk?
Was I supposed to get regular milk?
You're supposed to get. We always get regular milk. You're supposed to get regular milk.
I'll take this back.
All right. So you see, in that example, he said, "Was I supposed to get milk?" So he used another question, right? And then I said, yes, you were supposed to get milk. That's because we have an expectation that every week he will get milk. Be supposed to, get base form, but this is in the past because it didn't happen. It was an expectation, but it didn't happen.
Was I supposed to make some more coffee?
Yeah. You can also use supposed to make questions. For example, was I supposed to make coffee? See? We still have the be verb. We just added the subject in between the verbs instead of putting it at the middle. But everything else is pretty much the same. So he asked that because he knew that there was an expectation to make coffee and he wanted to make sure. But he didn't make it. So he was wrong. Okay, thanks for watching. Okay. You're supposed to stop.